Orbs by Dennis M. Morrison. The night was pitch dark, and as I ran down the dirt road, my two young children were by my side. There was only the sound of crickets in the night and the rocks that our feet kicked aside in our hurry to escape. "Are they coming yet, Daddy?" my 7-year-old daughter asked as she clung fearfully to my hand. And the sweat from my brow stung my eyes. The night was hot and dreadfully humid. Jason was close on my other side. "I can't believe this is happening, Dad. Where are they coming from? Why do they want to hurt us?" he asked. I had wondered those same questions myself, but had no answer to give. All I knew is that if I had to get Jason and Ruth to safety, but where was there any safety anymore? "I don't know," I answered as a green glowing light appeared up ahead. We were ready to dive into the ditch to avoid detection, but then the light took another route down Tucker Road. A moment later we heard a scream. Ruth buried her head in my shirt as the light turned from green to red. When the screaming sounded, and then back to green, we knew someone had died. My heart went out to whoever it had found. There were other runners, and a few had passed us. We three were just coming up to an intersection with Tucker Road when another green glowing orb appeared in front of us. I doubted it would turn away as the others had. I grabbed Jason and Ruth and tossed them into the deep but dry ditch. I held them close as the mosquitoes buzzed at us relentlessly. Could I peer up over the side to see if it was safe yet? I could, but there would be a 50-50 chance that if I did, we would die. We laid half huddled hidden by the tall growth of the cattails, and as I looked above I could see the eerie green glow, but it had stopped. Did they know we were here? Was it our turn to die? And then the light moved away, and I knew for at least a moment we were safe. "Dad," Jason said in a whisper, "wouldn't we be safer if we stayed in the ditch and walked? Most of the old roads have pipes going underneath them, and so that we wouldn't even have to get out and cross the roads." And I thought on that for a moment, and it was such an obvious course I could not begin to figure out why it hadn't occurred to me. So slowly and as silently as possible, we got up and began to walk. It was harder going, having to push aside the cattails to make our way, but I guess it was safer. Jason looked proud that he had made a good suggestion. I love them both, but can't help wonder if this was doing them any favors. Maybe we should have just stayed in our home and waited for the end to come. Wasn't that the inevitable? The end? Or was there a way to survive? And if we did, what would it be like? I reached in my pocket, and it was still there, but the handgun offered little security because it had no effect on them at all. Wouldn't it be more merciful just to turn it on us, I thought for a second. But no, I could never do that. If we're to die, it will be in running a gallant race. Up ahead, the ditch appeared to widen, and there were very few plants to conceal us. In order to reduce the risk of being detected, we laid on our bellies and began crawling in an almost snake-like fashion. My children were good. They had not complained at all. They knew what it meant if we failed. We stopped dead still as a green orb passed slowly overhead, stopped and hovered, pulsated, and then moved slowly on. Surely it must have detected us, but why had it not stopped for us? We heard another scream, and the light turned crimson again, and then back to the sickening shade of green. We crouched, and then just sort of laid there in the ditch, which opened into what was a drainage pond, and it was pretty much all dried up this time of the year. We had a wide view of an old dark farmhouse, and I thought if we could but make it there. But how? There was little cover to offer any protection, and the sky all around was filled with the orbs. But they were in a distance, but distance didn't matter to them at the speed that they traveled. Still, for right now, it was the farmhouse or nothing. Though daybreak was a few hours off, if we waited until then, we were dead because the daylight offered no protection at all, and they had come so suddenly, without warning in the night. I took Ruth and Jason's hands in mine and gave a nod at the farmhouse. They understood what I meant. They also knew we had to make our mad dash as silently as possible. In an instant we rose up and began running at an amazing pace, but it wasn't fast enough because a green orb was above us before we had gone 20 feet. The bottom opened up and revealed a fiery red anger within the orb. My stomach sunk as I felt the fruitlessness, the inevitability of death coming. I looked at the horrified faces of my children and then pulled them along as I began again to run. Could this thing be surprised? It seemed so because it hesitated, and then it closed its underside and began again to pursue us. We had gained the advantage, though, and its hesitation allowed us to reach the farmhouse. We burst through the front door and stumbled through the dark interior. My stomach unknotted as we were safe, at least for a time, or so I felt. The realization came suddenly and too late that our running was through. The inside of what we thought was a farmhouse turned angry red. We'd been tricked. The house was a disguised orb, and we were about to die. But I would not give it the satisfaction of hearing us scream. We held tightly to each other as the red gave way to the eternal darkness. But at least we were together. At least we wouldn't die alone.